So in less than 5 days from now, I think there could be something which I would consider to be a huge update for the future of maybe something like Polkadot. Even though nothing I say is financial advice, the reason why is because in less than 5 days, Polkadot's native token called DOT is going to be having its first ever halving. Now, people may be thinking, who cares about this? Well, just think about it a little bit. In a sense, I would say, kind of like the Bitcoin halving, but maybe just a little bit different in this case. Let me explain why. Because there are some changes when it comes to DOT, which is Polkadot's native token, in terms of the tokenomics, which again is supposedly going to be having its first halving in less than 5 days from now. So in this post, they say how, for instance, the first Polkadot halving will deliver a daily reduction of issuance by 53%. That's what they say. So the maximum supply is going to be capped at basically 2.1 billion DOT. So that gives a little bit more assurance, right, to the maximum supply when it comes to DOT. Besides that point, they say reduce long-term inflation. And again, that's pretty cool, right? Because if there's reduced inflation and now we know exactly what is going to be the maximum supply when it comes to DOT, why would that be a bad thing? I think this right here is actually a really good thing when it comes to Polkadot moving forward. Now, is DOT still not doing the best in terms of price? Yeah, it's not doing the best, but this right here, I think is such a fantastic thing that Polkadot has planned, which I think is very impressive because, again, when I take a look at that right there, I mean, Polkadot before this, right, before this announcement, basically, it was already considered to be a pretty okay project. They're doing this, I think, really without much of a demand, right? I mean, who's out there, constantly telling Polkadot to do this? I'm pretty sure maybe some, but I don't really hear that many. So if I see something like this, I think it showcases to me that Polkadot still cares, in my opinion, because if they were being lazy and decided not to do this, or plan this, I should say, who's really complaining? I mean, DOT already has over 1 million holders. Like, it's not like they're struggling to get holders or maintaining holders. That's not the case. They already have over 1 million holders, even without all this type of stuff planned anyways, right? When I first got into DOT, was there any talks about this? Not that I heard of. And DOT still had a bunch of holders. DOT, as of right now, has over 1 million holders, by the way, right? It's not like it needs to do this, maybe, but I feel like it's a pretty cool thing anyways. Keep in mind, this is on top of already seeing the effects of Polkadot 2.0 in terms of elastic scaling. We already see that, right? This is like another cherry on top. If Polkadot never did Polkadot 2.0, if it never has any proposed, changes, I would say, to kind of the, I guess, tokenomics, right? If I would even want to put it that way, it's not like it's going to be such a bad project anyways. Polkadot is focused on interoperability. It's focused on connecting blockchains together. Basically, that's the way to take a look at it. And it's even already #1 in terms of popularity within that niche. It's way more popular than something like Cosmos and Axelar, right? So it doesn't even really need to do this anymore, but it's still doing it anyways, which I do find to be pretty cool. However, here's the thing as well for me. DOT, as of right now, still around $1.50, so it's not like it's changed that much ever since my last video when it comes to Polkadot. But you know what? Here's the thing. Yes, we did see over $50 when it comes to DOT back in 2021. I mean, we saw that, right? But at the same time as well, does it really need to ever go back there? This is kind of my perspective. Personally, for me, if it never reaches that point again, I would not be disappointed. The reason why is because DOT, right, back in December of 2024, so we're talking about a little bit over a year ago, it was at around $10.50. Keep in mind, as of right now, we're at around $1.50. We're around 7 times lower than that. 7 times? Like, here's the thing. Bitcoin's not around 7 times lower than where it was back in December 2024. Neither was Ethereum. This is the way I take a look at it. I mean, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but if DOT just goes back to $10.50, again, we're around 7 times lower than that. I mean, come on, right? I mean, I don't even need a hypothetical altcoin season at that point. Does it mean it could? Who knows? I mean, I can't control this. Who knows? Only time will tell. But one thing I do know, though, is that, in my opinion at least, I felt like December of 2024 was definitely not for me again. And still, DOT did that. So keep in mind, DOT did that really without, I think, the narrative being as intense as of right now when it comes to Polkadot 2.0. Also, furthermore, if let's say DOT does, have its first halving, which is in less than 5 days from now, if let's say it does do that, the thing for me is that right there was not hypothetically existent back then, right? So DOT was able to accomplish a lot more actually back then, despite I think being fundamentally better as of right now when compared to that moment. So what does that indicate to me? It indicates to me that yes, the charts are down. However, I don't think it's as a direct result of the project being bad. I think it's as a result of the sentiment not doing the best, in which case, of course, we saw Bitcoin have a pullback, Ethereum and all this type of stuff, right? Solana and all this, BNB. But I'm just saying, I just don't think it was because of the fundamentals when it comes to Polkadot. I think it's because of the sentiment. So if anything, if the project became better, yet the charts are lower, I'm not complaining because in theory, because I'm still dollar cost averaging, I can dollar cost average into a project that I already like anyways, yet is lower than before. And again, fundamentally, it seems to have improved by quite a lot. Why would I complain? It's like, for instance, I want to buy a home, right? And let's say I was also offered a car as well as a part of the home purchase. If that was even a scenario, and at the same time there was a discount for the home, I'm not going to complain actually. Why would I do that? It's like me going to Costco and complaining that there's like a price reduction or a discount. Why would I do that though? I mean, again, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I just kind of take that principle and I just kind of apply it to other areas. Like for instance, hypothetically, this space, even though I am not telling anyone to do anything. So yeah, sure. I mean, it may not sound like a good thing at first glance when it comes to Polkadot, being around $1.50, or should I say it's native token called DOT. But I'm just saying, like anything I dollar cost average as of right now, if it just goes back to $10.50, which we saw slightly over a year ago, I'm not complaining. Time for me to go to Sizzler. That's the way to take a look at it. Time to go to Applebee's, in my opinion. However, here's the thing. If we take a look at DOT more specifically, right? People like to say, oh, could it go lower? Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, we saw an all-time low, by the way, when it comes to DOT around a month ago, when it was like at $1.13, more or less. So, I mean, we're not that far off from the all-time low. So, okay, maybe it goes to the all-time low, but that doesn't change the fact that we're still around 7 times lower than $10 as of right now, right? We're still around 7 times lower. That's the thing. So, yeah, sure, maybe DOT could go lower, but either a dollar cost average, let's say, at DOT at like $1, which it's never reached before. I mean, the lowest it's ever been is like $1.13, but let's just say we use $1 for simplicity's sake, which would actually be a new all-time low. But I'm just saying, let's say either a dollar cost average in a make-believe scenario, DOT at $1, or either at $1.50. Either way, that 50-cent difference right there, sure, it may seem massive if DOT only ever goes back to like $3. Yeah, it's like, okay, at that point, then it's a big difference. But if DOT just goes to $10, like at a certain point, that difference becomes a little bit negligible. It becomes somewhat irrelevant, actually, that difference, in my opinion. So when people like to ask me, oh, am I scared that I may not, catch it at the perfect bottom? No, I'm not, because in my opinion, I don't need to, right? Okay, sure, maybe a dollar cost average right now, it goes lower. But okay, if it maybe recovers, that difference right there is not really going to matter too much, in my opinion, over the long term. Even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. It's like, for instance, acquiring Bitcoin at either $10 or either at $20. That difference right there, again, it seemed like massive at that time, but even as of right now, with Bitcoin, I guess being around 70 grand, slightly under that, even with this pullback that we've seen when it comes to Bitcoin, anyone who's acquired Bitcoin at either $10 or $20 back then, that difference right there is like negligible right now. Now, that's a very extreme example, but I'm just saying, when it comes to something like Polkadot, with that either $1.13 or $1.50 or whatever, as long as it's like below $2, why would I complain actually? This is just my mindset. Even if DOT from $2 goes to $10, even at that point, again, $2 is 5 times lower than $10. Even at that point, I'm not complaining. That's kind of my take on that. So I don't feel like I need to catch the bottom or time it. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just dollar cost averaging once a month. That's it. I'm not doing any more, I'm not doing any less. But that's just kind of the way you take a look at it, really. But nonetheless, Dot's first halving, supposedly in less than 5 days, I think that's going to be pretty impressive, probably for the future of Polkadot. It may not showcase the effects instantly, but it could maybe matter later. So this is why I'm still a fan, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. So yeah, I do find this to be pretty interesting and pretty cool. That's pretty much about it. I'll be sure to make more updated videos when it comes to Polkadot. I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.